Let's unpack now what is Private Link DNS. Private Link DNS is a solution designed to help you securely access Azure services over a private endpoint within your virtual network. By using Private Link, traffic to Azure resources remains within Azure's backbone network. This ensures enhanced security and performance. However, accessing these private endpoints requires some specific DNS configurations to ensure that traffic correctly resolves to the private IP address associated with the private endpoint instead of the public IP. When you set up a private endpoint for an Azure resource, such as storage account, SQL database, or key vault, Azure assigns a private IP address to that resource within your virtual network. By default, DNS queries to Azure services like myaccount.blab.core.windows.net resolve to public IP addresses. To redirect this traffic to the private IP associated with your private link, you need to set up custom DNS configuration. And how to set up private DNS zones for private link? Azure provides private DNS zones to help with name resolution for private link. These zones allow DNS names of the Azure resources to be resolved to the private endpoint's IP addresses within your virtual network. Azure creates specific private DNS zone for different services, or you can create them in advance, such as privatelink.blab.core.windows.net is for Azure Blob Storage, privatelink.database.windows.net for SQL database, and privatelink.vaultcore.azure.net is for key vault. Each private DNS zone is specific to the Azure service you are configuring a private endpoint for. To make these DNS zones functional for your virtual network, you have to link each private DNS zone to the relevant virtual networks. This enables the virtual network to use zone to resolve private endpoint IPs within the network. When you create a private endpoint, Azure can automatically create the necessary DNS records in the associated private DNS zone to point to the private IP address. Alternatively, you can manually add records if needed. Overall, by setting up Private Link DNS, you ensure that private endpoint traffic securely reaches the correct resources without requiring public IPs. This capability offers an extra layer of security and simplicity for Azure-based applications and services.